Here. Well, I'm just kind of popping in on Dinghy Fishing Northwest. No, I haven't been on for a little while, but just kind of giving a report today. I did go to Cascade Locks, which is just right above Bonneville Dam on the Columbia River on June the 25th of 2022 to do a little bit of American shad fishing. I needed to put some crab bait in the freezer, so I decided to go ahead and go out of my way, run up there, and see if I could do any good. Of course, I did my research before I headed out. I checked the fish counts going through Bonneville Dam. That's something that's super important when you're deciding to go out shad fishing or really doing too much of anything right above Bonneville or on the Columbia River. And so, anytime you go on there and you can see that the shad counts are usually over the 100,000 shad per day, tends to lead to pretty good shad fishing at Cascade Locks. So, that or higher is usually what you're shooting for. If it's below that, it can be very tough fishing, maybe not nearly as productive as it needs to be to justify the trip up there. But anyway, I knew it was going to be good. I knew that the counts were up there, so I went ahead and headed there. And of course, that place is just covered in people. You know, lots of travelers. Everybody stops in there to do their thing. But I headed down there, and of course, at the lock, it tends to be pretty popular fishing. You know, a lot of people know you can do well there. You know, people catching sockeye and everything. Of course, the season wasn't open, so if you did catch one, you had to let that go. But so I get there and I unload and I get my cooler out. I get ready and I put in. And of course, I caught a shad probably within the first 1 to 2 minutes. I think it was like my second drift, and then from there, just kind of kept getting better and better. First couple of fish were kind of smaller males, and then uh, third or fourth fish ended up being a big female. I know that, like percentage wise to catch, it was probably two males to one female. But man, those females have a lot of eggs, and they're big fish too. They're like probably 4 to 5 pounds if you get a good size female, so definitely good size. And my rod's just a little light for flipping those fish over the side of the concrete, so I really have to kind of reel down on when I'm bringing over. Kind of surprised I haven't broken that rod, honestly. But you got to make sure you have pretty good line. I think I'm using probably in the neighborhood of about 15 pound test. Um, and of course, I don't drift anything but just like little pinches of pink pool noodle. So I'll take a chunk of pool noodle and then I'll just break into, just tear little pieces off and stick them on my hooks. And I'll use two barbless hooks and with the 2 ounce ball on the bottom. And so if you want to see how that setup is, you could actually go to last year's Shad 101. It wasn't a super successful fishing trip. I definitely go over the technique and show different equipment that I use for the shad fishing. But anyway, right now is a good time, and of course, me not being somebody that really likes to go crazy on the amount of fish that I keep, I put four in the cooler, and then I was like, okay, next one, and I'll stop. And then I was like, the next one I'll stop. And then I'm like, the next one I'll stop because it's so much fun. I don't really want to stop. Of course, long trip and everything. So of course, about the time I put the ninth one in the cooler, I was like, okay, I'm gonna stop because I knew I was gonna have to bring it back and then chop it up into like crab bait size bits, put them into freezer bags, and then put it in the freezer. And of course, the space that I have in the freezer, those types of things. But yeah, was able to do that pretty quick time. I think it took me maybe about 45 minutes to get those 9 fish on the bank, and it probably lost three that came off because of the barbless hooks. Not one fish was foul hooked. Every fish was hooked in the mouth that I had hooked. So the setup that I use definitely ends up being really good for that. I have a really high percentage of correct hooked, legal hooked fish, which in my book that is super important. Um, anyway, just kind of thought I'd let you guys know how the day went as far as shad fishing was there at Cascade Locks. So if they're doing that good at Cascade Locks, you know that they're doing well below Bonneville as well. That can be a bit of a madhouse as well. I tend to try to go to Cascade locks just because I feel like you get a little bit more space because people have to drift, so you have to have enough space to be able to do your little drift. Anyway, guys, if you're watching this or listening, definitely right now is a good time to get out there, get your crab bait, or if you like to eat the shad, or if you like to get the females and get the roe, whatever, it's a good time to be doing that, because it ends really fast, it comes on fast and it ends fast. So, by the time that June is completely over, it starts winding down. So we might be at peak, say, for 1 to 2 weeks, and then once it starts winding down, it goes fast. So you need to get there and catch some fish. You better, get on it quick, especially with this nice weather we've been getting. Anyway, guys, just want to thank you for listening and coming along. Hope you get a little bit of something out of it. We'll catch you on the next one. Take it easy.